Jim Sparks was born to Italian parents on November 15, 1954. He grew up in southern Florida, graduated from high school, and spent a couple of years at a local college studying real estate before moving to Houston, Texas in 1979, then to North Carolina, where he purchased raw land and divided lots for housing construction, but always felt a strong need to preserve the trees at his developments. Happily married and thriving, by 1998, at the age of 34, Sparks suddenly came face to face with beings from other worlds. His personal journey has been detailed in his book, The Keepers. It is Jim's account of decades of encounters with intelligent beings, providing some of the richest, most detailed documentations in abduction history. His recall is altogether conscious without the benefit of hypnosis, relaxation exercises, or any other use of non-ordinary states of consciousness for the exploration of buried memories. Nor are his memories contaminated by popular literature, which he has steadfastly avoided reading. He has been told by the visitors that they are concentrating their contact now upon ordinary people like Jim, because agreements with Earth's leaders regarding the timely release of information about their presence here have been violated. His first-hand reports of sperm extraction, breeding programs, shape-shifting, and thought-activated transport are astonishing, as is his personal journey from anger at the invasion to gratitude for the opportunity to be part of saving the Earth from self-destruction. Tonight, you're in for a real treat as Jim takes us through his personal journey firsthand. Please join me in a warm MUFON Orange County welcome for Jim Sparks.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. Well, I'd like to... am I coming in okay? I'd like to start these things with why it's so difficult or nearly impossible in some cases for non-human intelligent beings, particularly the species that I'm associated with, which 95 to 98% of the 95 to 98% of the contact that I've had or interaction has been what are commonly referred to as grays. There are two types. One is a worker being, and the other is what I call a true alien. I would say that the majority of abductees' experiences have been with what they think are the aliens, which are the little 3-foot guys. Those are half biological, in my experience, and half robotic. They're literally programmed to obey and follow tasks. I don't think they have any. They have, well, in my experience, little to no self-awareness of what they are, and they just perform that way. And those are the ones that have the big, giant teardrop eyes, the little thin mouths, and that are very small. In my experience, particularly, which they have been face-to-face, and memory is 95 to 98%, of what a gray is like, at least this particular species. They're about 1.5 feet taller. Their heads or their cranium are not nearly as large as the smaller ones or the worker beings, but they're bigger than ours. Their eyes are big, but they're bigger than ours, but they're not nearly as big as theirs also. And they do have a leather-like texture to their skin, and they pretty much look alike, but when you get pulled on a regular basis, you start noticing things that distinguish one from another, which is sort of like wrinkles. So primarily that's what I'll be talking about this evening, is those guys. But there's things in their nature that make it extremely difficult to, they're so far removed in a lot of ways, and there's other ways that they're similar. So I'm going to speak about the ways it makes it difficult for them not to knock on your door and say, gee, can I come in and have a cup of coffee? For starters, the thought process, the way they can assimilate data, process data, is anywhere from 10 to 100 times faster than us. So that can be rather intimidating. They are 100% telepathic. I've never heard one speak. But clearly, when there's communication, there's no mistaken it from, gee, I think I heard a voice in my head or something like that. It's loud and clear. In a lot of cases, it sounds like your own voice, but it's being manipulated from the telepathic communication, and it goes back and forth. What makes it very difficult to be around these guys is the fact, well, a number of things that I'm going to get into, is the fact that as a person, we have two sides to us in a sense. We have the you that's you know about, you intimately know about. There's things about yourself that you will never share with anybody unless perhaps you meet a significant other or somebody that you can trust and you start opening up to your past or maybe some of the things you've done and have or haven't been forgiven for or whatever makes you up. And then there's this face that we have, which is pretty normal, which that's what the public sees. And we don't allow people to penetrate past that unless we start to trust them. And that's the facade that we go around as human beings. When we all meet each other, this is the way we are until, inevitably maybe we get closer. When these guys speak or communicate telepathically, they bypass that face. So everything is raw, everything is rough, everything is open, and everything is on the dissecting table. Anything that you've ever done from a child, clearly up to an adult that you may be ashamed of, and all the positive things that you've ever done. Everything is known. So that's a really uncomfortable feeling. So when you're dealing with something that can think 10 to 100 times faster, when you're dealing with something that you immediately yourself is exposed to, it's not a comfortable thing. However, if the human species is to evolve into the cosmic neighborhood, so to speak, or the galactic neighborhood is what I really meant to say, the cool thing about that kind of communication amongst advanced non-human beings or cultures, which there are several different species, is the fact that what keeps them from warring, so to speak, just a simple thing as that, is this ability to know what the other one's thinking at any given time is the advantage of no surprise attacks. So even if there's agendas that are not similar to whatever one may be, opposite of the other, no surprise attacks. So it keeps them at bay. Okay, now you have beings that have the ability to screen image, meaning that they take the path of least resistance. Abductions have been going on heavily here in the last 20, 30 years on a global basis, and there's different things that they do, emotional experiments, extract semen, extract ova, medical experiments, you name it. But screen imaging, meaning that they have the ability to transmit an image or an idea in your head, and then you believe that's that reality. When I mean the path of least resistance, when people are pulled, if you're the type that may be afraid of, let's say, demons or demonic things, then they'll portray themselves as being something dark or evil in order to get whatever it is they're going to do so you'll cooperate, fear. If you're the type of person who heavily believes in angelic beings and things of that nature and spirits and benevolent things, then they'll come on that way too. So they do have an ability to screen image thoughts. Their technology, going into that, it's 100% thought activated. I've never seen it any other way, so I don't really see them with any hands-on projects. They have the ability to travel dimensions and use dimensions, meaning they can their working essence can be 95% in another dimension that occupies the same space at the same time, and perhaps maybe only 5% of their other essence can be in our dimension, so they would be invisible. So they have the ability for invisibility. The ability for invisibility, that sounds pretty good. The ability to be invisible. If in some cases, I'm not saying this describes all ghosts and spirits and such, but they're not perfect. And if the technology messes up and then they appear, then you may see them as something that looks like a ghost. So whatever it takes, the path of least resistance not to be seen, but they have that ability. If they need